about the overview of the define phase. So what are we supposed to do in the define phase? Okay. Yes, visible, right? Yeah. Generally, at the end of every phase, there will be a review. We call it TOLLGATE review. There will be a review, and during which all the project champions, sponsor, and the related group leaders will come, and then they will definitely be asking some critical questions. So, what kind of questions will be shooted, and so that if you know in advance, so that you can also be ready with appropriate answers. If if the response is convincing, they'll give a green signal to move on to the measure phase, right? So what are such questions? And then define phase steps, deliverables, and the tools you will be using in the define phase. The first question: is this project important to business? You are trying to solve a problem. You have made a proposal. The first question that will be asked is this project important to business? So how is this connected to organization's objective? This is called goal alignment. Your project goal should be connected to the organization's goal. If the alignment is, if you are not able to convince on the goal alignment, even though your project is a good proposal, it may not be approved, right? That's one point. And that's a business case. Business case means how much money that is going into the project and what will be the expected savings. What will be the return on investment? What will be the direct benefit? What will be the indirect benefit? This is and there is less chance that your project will be considered and project will be approved. Or clear project plans and key milestones. Project plans and milestones defined. Your project duration is 3 months. What will you achieve after 1 month? Monthly goal. And what will you achieve weekly basis, weekly goals? Or the major and minor milestones defined, so that the roles and responsibilities can be created. You should have answer for all these questions. And project boundaries and stakeholders identified. You will be able to understand the project boundary. You will be able to understand the stakeholders only if you identify the process which is responsible for the failure. If you don't even know which is the process that is responsible for the failure, then all the stakeholders and boundaries will only assumptions, not reality, right? And that is why we use the tool called SIPOC, right? So these are the questions you should be able to answer at the end of the define phase.
So by default, all projects are 3 months.
No.
It was just a example.
Yes, example. 2 to 6 months. Generally, projects and can even black belt projects can even sometimes go up to 9 months also. It depends on the right. So, but minimum 2 months to 9 months.
Sir, the voice is so breaking.
Oh, really? But I'm keeping the same tone, same level. Okay. So the first step, project identification. How are you going to identify the project? How do you know the project exists within your department? There are certain tools which you can use. Then project selection. Whether the project is really suitable for Six Sigma, or can we solve it by some other approach? Because Six Sigma requires some highest level of competency and all these things. Is it a candidate suitable for other approaches? If it is suitable for other approaches, send it to that category. Similarly, what is coming under Six Sigma, that also you should do. And then the order of execution, that is called prioritization. So all that you will be doing. After that, you create a complete plan of execution, for which you will be relying on an important tool called project charter. Generally, it is a one-page document, which will clearly talk about the management's expectation and the problem and the goal and the team member detail, timeline, and then it will have the signature, right? So project charter. It is also, it can also be considered as the written agreement between the top management and the project team, right? What is in the scope of the project team and what is not in the scope of the project team, you should write everything, crystal clear in just 1 or 2 lines. Because generally project charter is read by the project sponsor, who is part of the top management. So he can spend maximum 10 minutes. So within the 10 minutes, can you communicate effectively? Within the 10 minutes, can you make an impression? Within the 10 minutes, can you convince the project sponsor? That is your challenge. And that's the reason why you are using the tool called project charter. And then high level process map. High level process map, 10,000 foot view of the process. Because you should at least draw the boundary in a way that the problem is available within the boundary. You should be able to pick up the process at least in a broader sense, and then always you can drill down and then focus on the specific process. So for that purpose, we create a high level process map, and SIPOC also comes there. So these are the three major steps. Ultimately, the deliverable at the end of the define phase is approved project charter. Your project charter is approved, and you will also have a high level map of the process. It is not a process flow chart. It is only high level process map, which means only the major steps are indicated, 5 to 8 important steps. But in reality, there can be many steps, which you will expand it later on. And now these are the tools: project identification, voice of the customer, voice of the business, cost of poor quality, CTQ tree, Pareto for problem stratification. That is what we will be learning right now, right after this. And y equal to f of x, we already talked about it enough. We talked enough about y, also x. Brainstorming, yes, bring all the relevant stakeholders, initiate the discussion, ask them to talk about the problem. Hundreds of problems they will bring to your table, right? And that is brainstorming. And Kano model, which is a tool which will help you to prioritize the customer requirement, because customer requirements are always many. So which is the most important one? Which is next in the list? Kano model will help. And project selection, you can use prioritization metrics, project prioritization metrics. And for project approval, we use project charter and then SIPOC. SIPOC is an acronym, stands for supplier input process output customer. And then if your project is related to new product development, and there are many tools and a few important ones I have highlighted here, which we will also talk about in the Black Belt program: surveys and questionnaire, cost of quality, Kano model, quality function deployment, and any other tool that is relevant in new product development, right? So this is what normally should happen in a defined phase when a project, when a Six Sigma team is working on a project, right? So what is the deliverable? The approved project charter. So is that clear? What kind of steps and what kind of tools and the deliverables and the toll gate review questions? This is only, again, giving you a broader idea, broader view of the things. So any question you want to ask? But of course, I only, talked at the outline level. So we need to go a little deeper. So, okay. So let me talk about few things extempore, because these are some general tools only. Voice of the customer. Have you used this term earlier, voice of the customer?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Suppose in our training program, who is the customer here in our training program? All the participants are the customer. So at the end of every session, let's say we are taking your feedback. How was the session? Is it really, helpful? Or what are the improvement points? And you are telling, so many improvement points. So definitely all the improvement points suggested by the customers are nothing but the current gaps, isn't it? Or nothing but the current gaps. So by interacting with your customer or by listening to the voice of the customer, you are now getting to know the improvement opportunities. Am I correct? Similarly, in any business, any product, any service, whenever there is an opportunity to interact with your customers, try to interact. Try to interact with the customers, conduct survey through email, through telephone, or through a personal meeting. Whenever customer interacts with your business, you try to interact with them. And this is called, voice of customer analysis. This is called voice of customer analysis. If the customer is getting dissatisfied or frustrated with any of the product feature or any of the service that you offer, that can be an improvement opportunity. So one source for identifying project is voice of the customer. Hope it is clear to all of you, right? Some companies already have the mechanism, already documents are available, already data is available. You can refer to it. If nothing is available, you can initiate a brand new survey. You can initiate a brand new survey, and maybe a sample, some representative sample of your customers can be chosen, and then you do a survey and try to understand, are there any issues your customers are experiencing? That is one source by which you can identify problems. And when I say customer, there are two types of customer: external customer as well as internal customer. Even prior to understanding the external customer, internal customer, we must understand one more term called end user. End user. What is end user? The person who is actually buying your product, who is paying for the service. He is end user. Obviously, all of you are end user here. And you are also external customer. Am I right? You're also external customer, because anybody who is not part of your organization, not part of your process, not part of your department, he should be called an external customer. But people who are part of your process, part of your organization, part of your department, part of your process, if they are unhappy for some reason, that is also an opportunity for improvement. Say, for example, there are co-trainers here. Co-trainers, like RK was raising a point. He is not giving enough time. His voice is also important if you are concerned about the quality. Am I correct? So who is he? He is an internal customer. He is an internal customer. So his requirement, he has to be given the sufficient time, the required facilities, so that he can comfortably execute the process, which is important for your end result. So there are two types of customer: external customer as well as internal customer. Now MSME is coming here. They are also a customer here. How MSME is a customer here? Their brand image depends on the quality of the training program. Depends on the level of proficiency all of you are going to achieve out of the program, isn't it? So they also have certain expectation. Can you see that, all of you? That is internal customer. The companies all of you are working. Do you think they also have, suppose let us say you are nominated by your company, the company is paying for your training. Do you think your company will also have some requirement? That should also be understood here. Obviously, they have nominated you for some specific purpose. They expect you to come back and then at least work on 1 or 2 projects and then give the returns. So now your company is also having an expectation. So your company is also a customer to us. The definition of customer is going much more beyond the one, the end user, isn't it? Now your company, is it an external customer or internal customer?
External customer for you.
External customer. The moment an external customer comes to know that you are not doing well, then your brand image will get damaged. It can cause any kind of damage, isn't it? They can start talking about you badly in the social media. Sometimes customer can go for a claim, and all those issues you will be facing. So this is called, if an external customer is dissatisfied, the failure is definitely external failure. What you call the loss will be much more than an internal failure, right? So whether the external customer is experiencing a dissatisfaction or internal customer is experiencing a dissatisfaction, yes, all of them are failure. You should first of all admit there is a failure. Unless and until you admit the failure, you will never be able to understand the opportunity for improvement, right? So one source is listening to the voice of the end user, listening to the voice of the external customer, also listening to the voice of the internal customer. Clear? In your company also, just try to visualize who are the internal customers. Let's say in a company there is a production, there is assembly, there is packaging, and then there is billing, and then there is dispatch. Now there are so many processes, isn't it? And now the assembly department becomes the customer to the production department, because all that I produce in the shop floor, it finally goes to the assembly. I mean, next it goes to the assembly. Now assembly department is my internal customer. Can you see that? The assembly department will have certain requirement. Unless and until you fulfill their requirement, they can't assemble well. Then the final end user experience will be very, very bad. Then for the billing department to raise an invoice, there will be certain requirement. What is the product code? Isn't it? What will be the price of the product? How many units you are supplying? All these informations they might require, so that they can prepare your invoice defect free. Similarly, the packaging, they will have certain requirement. Items should be packed well, so that no damage is caused during the transit or in the other scenarios. So likewise, you need to visualize all the stakeholders. Some of them will be internal, some of them will be external. All the people who are part of your organization should be called internal customer. All the people who are outside your organization should be called external customer. Ultimately, why all of them are coming into picture? Through them only your product is reaching the end user. Now, do you understand the difference? End user, internal customer, and external customer?
Yes. Yes.
Very good. So one source is listening to the voice of all these people. Number two, voice of business. What is voice of business? The voice of the top management, or the voice of the managers and the leaders, department heads. If you talk to the department head, and they might say, see, we are not able to deliver on time. We are not able to achieve the, our production rates are gradually going down. Our business is going down, sales is going down, market share is going down. Our cash conversion cycle is very, very longer. So we are paying a huge interest to the bank. These kind of voices are called voice of business. Please understand, not every employee's voice can come under voice of business. Employees will come at the in time and they will go at the out time. They will deliver their duties. That's that's it. They are owners of specific process. Any problem related to the process, they will definitely communicate. That is internal customer. That is voice of internal customer. But the rejection rate and your inventory levels, your cash conversion cycle, your market share, your sales going down, your share price going down. Do you think these are also concerns? These are also problems? If your market share is gradually going down, is it really a problem?
Yes.
Do you think every employee will talk about your market share every day? Or in the meeting, they will bring the point?
No.
But definitely, the managers, leaders, they will definitely keep an eye and then bring it to the notice of the next cadre. So these are called voice of business. Most of the time, it is related to the financial performance of the company. And sometimes which is unspoken, and they will try to understand and then bring it. So the voice of the managers, voice of the leaders are called voice of business. Clear? There is one more thing called cost of poor quality. The known failures that are getting documented currently in your company. The known failures that are getting documented. Let's say your company is maintaining a records of rejection. Every shift, there is 5% rejection is going on. So how many pieces rejected? What is the money wasted there? And that is converted into dollars, rupees. That is your cost of poor quality. Let us say last year, the warranty claim has crossed 1.5 crores. Now that's a cost of poor quality warranty claim. Too many warranty claims. Why? You gave 1 year warranty, but all your products are failing within 6 months. Now too much claims. Record is saying, it is 1.5 crore. The cost of poor quality for a specific category can be an indicator of an improvement opportunity. You can refer to the records. Now there are 3 sources I spoke about. One is voice of customer. Another one is voice of business. And another one is cost of poor quality. And again, when we say cost of poor quality, there are 2 sources. Internal failure. Another one is external failure. What is internal failure? If the failure is detected within the organization, the failure is called internal failure. Like your own quality inspectors, they are checking, they are doing the quality checking and rejecting your products. That is what you say 10%. That is purely internal failure. Suppose if you don't detect the failure, and what happened? A product with the defects, maybe a defective product, is now reaching the hands of the customer. Now what will happen? Customer external failure. And that's a warranty claim is an example of external failure. Product recall is an example of an external failure. Because you already launched the product. Failure is happening outside your organization. Like in the video played by Dr. RK in the morning, ASQ's quality video. You have seen Toyota, they had recalled the product because of poor braking system.
Yeah.
Now, many bigger brands, they had the recall. And the FMCG industry, Maggi, in the year 2015, they have recalled the Maggi packets. Hope you all remember. The product was banned in that year. Nearly 38,000 tons of the Maggi packets were destroyed simply because the lead content was so high. They failed to detect it before dispatching the product. That's the reason why a recall is initiated. Very costly affair. And they lost 80% of the market share all of a sudden. So these are all the sources through which you can understand the existence of a problem, for which proper documentation and monitoring and documentation is required. In the absence of which you can go for a brainstorming session. You call all the department heads, ask them to represent the burning issues they are facing right now. I'm sure the whole day will be spent in that meeting because they live with a lot of problems. So carefully noting down all the points can be a list of improvement projects. Is that clear to all of you? Project identification.
Yes.
You need to listen to the voice of the customers, listen to the voice of the business. Also, keep an eye on your cost of poor quality. Please note, the cost of poor quality can be visible, can be invisible also. If the people within the company do not even know that it is a failure, then the cost of poor quality will be invisible, isn't it? Say for example, inventory levels are too high and nobody cares about the inventory level. That's an invisible failure. You can't keep inventory at whatever level you want. Your inventory level should be at the minimum. Currently, it should be according to your replenishment time. Once the raw material is consumed, the current replenishment time is, let us say, 2 weeks, which means you place an order, within 2 weeks, raw material will be supplied to you. Now, how much inventory you will maintain now? 2 weeks. But does it mean that is the optimum inventory level? No, you can improve your supplier network. You can improve your procurement process. Can you bring down the replenishment time from 2 weeks to 1 week? Is it possible? If replenishment time can be reduced from 2 weeks to 1 week, how much inventory you need to keep now?
1 week inventory only.
Inventory reduction project.
Cost of stock keeping also less.
Yes, cost of stock keeping. If you are not talking about cost of stock keeping, the failure or the cost of poor quality associated to the stock keeping is an invisible cost of poor quality in your company because nobody is talking about it. So that's where the education training comes into picture. People are made knowledgeable in certain approaches, certain tools, and thereby all the problems are brought to the surface. And problems, when the customer complains, when customers are trying to complain about your product, it is actually good you listen to them. Hope all of you agree with me. It is actually good you can listen to them. And some companies, sometimes, they don't even allow the customers inside because they know they are coming with a complaint. And that's not going to be helpful, right? We should face the problem instead of avoiding the problem. We should face the problem. So all the problems must be brought to the surface. And then from the problem understanding, you try to derive your CTQ. What is exactly causing the dissatisfaction? Let's say in the replenishment process, just now we spoke. What is the CTQ over there? What is the CTQ over there? We talked about, I will tell you the keywords. One is inventory level. Another one is the replenishment time. Another one is, let's say your, your company is having borrowed a bank loan. All these things are connected. to your inventory. Now tell me, what is the CTQ?
Low inventory.
Inventory level is CTQ, right?
Inventory
And
level.
what is your current inventory level? 7 days of 15 days of inventory you are keeping. And what is that you want to achieve? You want to bring down the inventory from 15 days to, let's say,
Cut down to 1 week.
1 week. 15 days to 1 week. Now, is this really, if I reduce the 2 weeks of inventory to 1 week, when I actually achieve it, will it actually solve the problem?
Yes.
Cost of poor quality will come down. Your bank loan, yes, your money will definitely now be available for other purpose. At the same time, you are running the show beautifully. Without compromising on your quality, you should improve the efficiency. That is very important. When you are trying to improve the efficiency, you should never try to compromise the effectiveness. Without compromising on the quality, yes, I bring down the inventory level from 1 week. Then again, I will work. I'll bring down the inventory level to 3 days. If that is possible, right? And that's how you should derive CTQs. Is it clear? Whether you are talking to your end user, talking to your customers, external customer, internal customer, you are talking to the business leaders, or you are referring to the cost of poor quality, ultimately, you need to identify a metric that can be a representative of the whole problem you are trying to fix. Now, in that discussion, the inventory level from 15 days to 7 days, the inventory level in terms of number of days is the CTQ. Why do I call it CTQ? It is, or I can also call it CTB. If inventory level, first of all, is it voice of customer or voice of business?
Business.
Voice of business.
Voice of business. Beautiful. Then it should be called as CTB.
CTB.
Critical to business.
Critical to business.
And sometimes, you can, people also call it CTX. CTX means you can use the same tool for several purposes. Critical to customer, critical to quality, critical to business, critical to process, critical to cost, critical to delivery, critical to safety.
Ideally, all the linkages are there with this metric.
Yes, sir, exactly. So wherever, yes, already wherever there is a leakage. And similarly, you can also identify projects based on the risk level. You can also identify projects based on the risk level. You should be able to quantify the risk also. Like FMEA study. If everything is going well, you can conduct an FMEA, failure mode and effect analysis. So what is the risk associated? Try to quantify the risk. The RPN should be less than 100, general practice. If your RPN is more than 100, and that can also be, a project. And likewise, improvement projects can be identified. So now, what are the terminologies we just spoke about? Voice of customer, voice of business, cost of poor quality, internal failure, external failure, CTQ,
Visible, invisible.
CTQ, CTB, visible cost of poor quality, invisible cost of poor quality,
CTQ and CTB.
CTQ and CTB. Beautiful. So many tools, but then you should have a proper clarity, so that you can pick up a lot of improvement ideas. And similarly, cycle time versus stack time. Cycle time versus stack time. See, these are different tools. Cycle time and stack time, I am picking from the Lean toolkit. Cycle time means the time you consume to produce one product. On an average, how much time you consume to produce one product. Cycle time is applicable to product also. Cycle time is applicable to process also. Now I am talking from the product perspective. What is the definition of cycle time in the product perspective? The time
taken to complete
to produce
one unit or one
unit.
Sir, one clarification. Cycle time, we need to seek the cycle of the time of raw materials and how it works?
Yeah, that's what I said. See, cycle time, you can calculate process level also. Raw material requirement, what is the cycle time? Then raw material is processed. What is the cycle time over there? And all the cycle times put together, will be your total lead time.
Lead time, okay.
Total lead time. Anyway, during the lean session, it will be discussed in detail. Right now, cycle time means on an average, how much time you consume to produce one unit. Let's say a car manufacturer, they say every 4 hours we produce one car. Every 4 hours, we produce one car. That means their product cycle time is 4 hours. Am I right? But actually making a car might go on for 4 days. May go on for 14 days also. But what is the final cycle time? Just 4 hours, 240 minutes. Every 240 minutes, you will see a car coming out of the factory.
Sir,
Am I correct?
can't this be called as lead time?
No, lead time is from start till finish.
No, you said car is manufactured, which means the completion is done there.
Car is manufactured. Yes, car is manufactured.
So will that be called as a lead time? Because it's like a full product, right?
See, full product manufactured.
So, can I comment? So lead time
Yes.
is the time required to deliver at customer end from factory to customer end. That covers lead time.
Everything is included.
Yeah.
The day you enrolled in the program, the day the certificate is issued, that is lead time.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. But then within that lead time, we are going to produce 100 black belts. Then for us, every 5 days, every 6 days, we are producing a black belt. We will say like that. You understand? So same manner, a company is saying every 4 hours, we are producing a car. That's our cycle time. But always customer will also have an expectation about your cycle time. Because customer, the time they place an order, they will also tell when the delivery is required. Am I correct?
Yes.
So the customer expected production rate is also there. Your actual production rate is also there. The customer expected speed is known as takt time. Your cycle time must be lower than the takt time. Then only on-time delivery is possible. If there is no discussions happening about cycle time, takt time, lead time, then
Can you
talking
say
on
that time again, sir?
Yeah, I'll come to that. If the company is not talking about cycle time, not talking about takt time, not talking about lead time, but they are only talking about that on-time delivery, and it is never going to happen, isn't it? So because it is purely based on all the cycle time, your delivery is not happening on time. So takt time means the speed with which customer expect you to produce.
Sir, this is you're telling about TAT, turnaround time, right? Or it is
No, TAKT.
I'll just put it in.
TAKT. Oh, okay.
Takt time. I put it in the chat box now. Takt time. So the cycle time must be lower than the takt time. This is the condition which will ensure on-time delivery. If this is not satisfied, on-time delivery will definitely not going to happen. Customer has to wait, right? So that means every new tool that you make your people knowledgeable and skillful, that will open their additional eyes. That will open their additional eyes. All the invisible problem will become visible now. Like implementing 5S will also bring problem to the surface. Yes, Mr. Satish.
TAKT, takt time and takt time, it will be almost similar only, sir. Only in where we are using only, it will be like in manufacturing takt, in IT industry takt, sir.
No. Takt time is completely different from your turnaround time.
Okay.
What is the extension of TAKT time?
No extension. It is a Japanese word. Takt. Takt time. Like
So it's not an acronym.
Yeah. Not a acronym. There is no expansion over there. It's a Japanese word, I said. Takt time.
Like just in time.
Takt time. It actually means the beats that are coming from a musical instrument. Every 1 minute, every 10 seconds, a beat will come. Same manner, customer will expect you to produce an item every 10 minutes. But unfortunately, your cycle time is 15 minutes. Now, on-time delivery is not going to happen. So why I'm talking about all these things is, all these things are the tools by which you understand a problem exists. In the absence of which problems will be hidden. Right? So the more the learning and more the tools you use, and better will be the environment to bring all the problem to the surface. Then you realize enormous amount of opportunity that exists for improvement. Right? So now I'm going to share a screen. So what I am sharing right now is actually a Minitab screen. This is my Minitab screen. Okay. So I would like to again spend some more time with all of you with the voice of customer, voice of business, cost of poor quality, CTQ, CTB, and all those things. I have designed a small exercise that I will be doing tomorrow, right? But right now we are at the fag end. That's why I'm not initiating that exercise. So now what I am showing here right now, this is nothing but the Minitab window. Minitab is a statistical analysis software. The place where I am moving my cursor, this is called worksheet. This is something similar to your Excel. Hope all of you can see my cursor moving, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
This is called worksheet. There is a gray bar. There is a gray bar on top of the first row. There you can give the header for your columns. First column, the heading given is defect. Second column, the heading given is count. Third column, the heading given is cost. And then all your data can be typed below. You can either type or you can copy paste from the Excel. What is this area called?
Worksheet.
Beautiful. This is called worksheet. And the area where I am currently typing, this area is called session window. Why the session window? This will bring you the statistical reports will appear here. If you give the input data, Minitab will automatically do the calculations on your behalf, and then the statistical reports will appear here in a place called session window. Hope it is clear. Right. And now I want one of you to read out the first column here. First column. Any one of you.
Okay, Mukesh,
Yes,
yes, sir.
Yes, please.
So that the defective button.
Okay.
All I need to read.
Yeah, please read all
Okay.
the 7 items.
Okay, then loose thread, then misaligned fabric, then fabric stains, then stitching defects, then hemming defects, and coloring errors.
Oh, by reading out all the defects, can you understand what kind of industry it is?
It's apparel, so the textile.
Textile industries.
It's an apparel industry.
Textile.
You call it garment industry, or you call it textile industry. And the problem here in this industry is too many customer complaints. Too many customer complaints. Every day there is literally a customer shouting in the shop floor, right? Too many customer complaints. That means this itself is a voice of business. You can understand.
Yes.
And so the management wanted to do something. They wanted to initiate a study, but they don't know where to begin. So they hired a team of green belts or black belts like all of you. And a team has worked for 30 days. And at the end of the 30 days, they have come up with this data. What is that they understood in 30 days? There are 217 instances. A defective button case is noticed in your shop floor. That is in your factory, right? And 67 occasions, a loose thread issue is noticed. 18 occasions, 18 instances, misaligned fabric. 23 times fabric stains. 112 times stitching defects. 43 times hemming defects. 12 defect coloring errors. That means earlier documentation was very poor and company did not have all this data, all this information. They were in complete dark. All that they know is customer complaints are too many. But then 1 month, the data is collected. The quality checkers were instructed to record every defect. When it is noticed, it is recorded in a register. Format is created. And that's how the data is collected. All of you understand how the data has come?
Yes, yes.
If your company is already doing this kind of work, you're doing a fantastic job. Otherwise, you should also do like this. So 30 days time is done. And now after collecting the data for 30 days, I clearly understand the defective button is the major reason for customer complaint. Am I correct?
Right, sir.
So I wanted to create a graph out of it. I wanted to go for a Pareto. You all know Pareto is one of the 7 basic QC tool. The Pareto is the best graph now, according to the data in hand. Go to the stat, go to the quality tools, go to the Pareto chart. Click. Now Minitab is asking, where are the defects? Which column contains your defects? Column 1. Select this. And frequency. Which column talks about the frequency? Column 2. Click and select. After giving the type of defects and the corresponding frequency, I am giving OK. Now Minitabs has generated a Pareto for me. Hope all of you can see.
Yes, sir.
Because a graph can communicate well than your Excel table or something. So your top management now quickly understand. Too many customer complaints are coming mainly because the main source is defective button. Right? All of you understand?
Yes.
Now, if you look at the Pareto, there is an x-axis. In the x-axis, all the defects are written. You can see the same thing, defective button, stitching defect. This is a data. Please understand, this is a data. Like how I can collect all your name. The names of the defects are represented in the x-axis. This is called categorical data. This is called categorical data. You can also call it attribute data. Because everything, is an attribute here. There is no number. And now the y-axis on the left side, it talks about the frequency of occurrence of each of the defect. For example, defective button, there are 217 instances. So the height of the bar actually represents the frequency of a particular defect. That is written here also as 217. You can see that. Totally in 1 month time, 30 days time, 492 defects were recorded. Totally, how many defects recorded? 492. In comparison to the 492, defective button itself is 217. Can you tell me what is the proportion of defective buttons in comparison to the total defects? Or what is the contribution of the defective buttons to the total number of defects? Will you be able to calculate?
Yeah, defective button by total errors.
Exactly. 217 divided by 492.
492.
How much it is coming to?
44.1.
44.1. You can see here. That is the contribution to the total cost of poor quality by this particular defective button. 44.1% of the cost of poor quality are due to defective buttons. Can I say like that? So the company's first focus should be on fixing the defective buttons. Anyway, you are going to put equal efforts, almost more or less equal effort in fixing every problem. But the moment I decide to put some effort, the effort should yield maximum result. So that's how Pareto is guiding you. Pareto is guiding you in the right direction. And now next problem is stitching defect. How many instances stitching defect has happened? 112. 112 in comparison to the total of 492. It is contributing to 22.8%. Can you see that, all of you?
Yes, yes, we can see.
Now the defective button and stitching defect, two of them together, it contributes to 66.9% of the cost of poor quality.
67%.
Similarly, the third one, loose thread, 67 instances. 67 compared against 492, 13.6%. And now all the three put together, which is called
80%.
cumulative percentage. This is 80.5%. And this is what is represented here in the blue color dots. The first dot corresponds to 44%. You can see that here. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
The right side y-axis represents cumulative percentage. Second one, this corresponds to your 66.9. Third one corresponds to 80.5. Now I realize one thing, 80% of the rejections are due to 3 defects only. What are the 3 defects? Defective buttons, stitching defects,
Loose threads.
loose threads. If I can fix these 3 defects, 80% of the customer complaints will vanish.
Vital few.
Yes, vital few versus trivial many. This is called 80-20 rule. Let me go to session window. This icon, if I click, I will go to session window. So this is called 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule. Originally, this 80-20 rule is developed by an Italian economist, Wilfred Pareto. According to him, 80% of the land, and he noticed this in Italy, was owned by 20% of the people in Italy. Just 20% of the people in Italy was owning 80% of the land. This was his observation. First time he used this in his some research paper. And this is what this has later become very, very popular. And the tool was named after his name only, Pareto plot. Right? And we also noticed here 80% of the customer complaints are due to 20% of the defects. This could be true in many companies. These 20% of the defects are the vital defects. You should, or the critical ones, you should immediately address. Similarly, you can write down many statements. 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of the products. Am I right? In many companies, 80% of the floor space in warehouse is occupied by 20% of your products. Am I right?
There is no particular product.
Yeah, maybe few products. Similarly, 80% of the results come from 20% of the employees. Am I right? This are all possible. And when we say 80-20, you should not expect the perfect 80-20 here. Like in our example also, only 3 defects contributing to 80% of the problem. The 3 is not 20% of the whole number of defects. That's statistics. Otherwise, it is mathematics. We are here not to understand mathematics. We are here to understand statistics. So statistics will definitely have inequalities. Don't expect mathematics here, right? 80-20 means approximately 80-20. Similarly, imagine you are running a restaurant. You're running a restaurant. You will be having a menu card, right? You will be having a menu card. How many items will be there in the menu card? At least 100 items. But then, if you look at your daily business, daily revenue, your daily revenue, do you think your 80% of your daily revenue, 80% of your daily revenue should have come from
20% of menu.
20% of the items in the menu. What are those items? 20% of the items. Morning idli, dosa, your pongal, right? The vada, and then afternoon meals. These are called vital items. So this rule will be applicable in your factory also. You can use this so that you can stay focused on the vital issues instead of scattering your resources in the wrong direction. You can divert your resources in the very correct direction. Because why we should prioritize? Because resources are limited in any organization, no matter how big or how small the organization is. Whether it is big or small, resources are limited. Hope all of you agree with me. So this is how each and every tool will direct you in the right direction. I will continue with the same Pareto tomorrow also, but since it is already 5 o'clock right now, I would like to stop here. So any question anybody would like to ask about Pareto, the last tool we are discussing right now? Any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Thank you.
No question.
All right.
Sir, when will the recording be available for this session?